So, the first point that we're going to talk about is how we are creative as people. As humans, each one of us is creative. Natalia, Colby, Kaylin, Landon, each one of us are creative.
I like that reason.
My alarm, sorry. Each one of us is creative. In Genesis, we read in Genesis, it says we are created in God's image, and that means that we resemble God.
It sounds like a...
That was fast.
Okay, who's up next?
I'm last.
Natalia, do you want to go?
Rock, paper, scissors
Okay.
between them two.
She's going. Okay, so that means we resemble God in many ways. Attributes and characteristics of God are in our DNA. Therefore, our ability to be creative is a gift that comes from Him. So what does it mean when we say be creative?
Like, think like outside the box.
Be original.
Be original. Think outside the box. Those are good. Those are creative answers.
Thank you.
Any other creative
Very
answers?
creative.
DNA.
Huh?
DNA.
Yeah, that's a creation
Wait, what was
by
the
God.
question?
Make something up.
What is creative? What does it mean?
Creative.
Draw
It
something.
means to make something something very weird.
No.
Okay,
Cool.
that could be.
Yes.
Cool.
So
Yes.
the first blank is creativity
Is
is a gift we all
I
possess.
said gift. You said no.
Wait,
I
what?
think so.
What page?
Creativity is a gift.
I said
You
blessing. That's the same thing.
Creativity is a gift we all possess. So you may think,
Is it page 14?
I don't know, Dylan. You might think that you're not creative, or you don't have the ability to be creative. But we are all creative, and we all have the ability
Huh.
to create.
I'm not creative.
Yes, you are, Landon.
No, I'm not. Abstract.
Whether it's,
Objective.
does anyone have an imagination?
I used to.
Can anyone problem solve?
Nope.
Can
Why,
anyone think abstractly?
I wish.
See, that's creative. Look at you. So,
Wait.
some of these things,
That's really good.
humans possess all these. Hey, you guys, listen.
I got it.
Look up here. So, Kaylin, are you looking? Thank you. So animals, it's
Yeah.
a gift, yeah. Animals are not as creative as humans, right?
Yeah.
They have a certain element of creativity or problem solving or abstract thought, but they are nowhere near the level that humans are, right? Another way of saying that is they don't have reason or they don't have logic.
You don't have
Except for
Wolves.
German Shepherds.
Wolves.
Well, still they're not anywhere near the level.
Still logic.
monkeys are.
So,
Gorillas.
so for children, being creative comes naturally, right? As far as when I was younger, it did. You can, draw a picture and just come up with crazy stuff. And as you grow older, sometimes that creativity dies down. For example, in kindergarten, yes.
I can't draw as good as I used to.
Alright, well in kindergarten, every child thinks they're amazing, right? They take home this little picture or whatever from school and they think, hey mommy, look what I did at school today. And they just think it's the most awesome thing. But obviously that picture is not very good. But as you grow, you may get better at drawing,
I got
but
worse.
yet you don't think you're as good. Like in kindergarten, everyone thinks they can draw. In junior high or high school, a lot of people know they can't draw.
I don't believe anymore.
Because, they don't believe. But it's because why do you think that has happened?
Because they're getting really older, they don't pay attention to creativity anymore. They pay attention to video games.
They're losing
Because
their
they can compare themselves to others and they forget to make their own things.
Okay.
Okay, then you're next.
All right, Kaylin, go. And you're right. So, Tyler, what we're talking about is that
Next.
when you're younger, you have most of the time, a lot more creativity when you get older. Like you can draw a picture when you're younger and you think it's great, but as you grow older, you realize maybe you're not such a good artist. And this is, why do you think that is? Why do you think as you grow, you start to realize, maybe you weren't as creative as you were before. You don't think your picture's as good as it was. What are some of the things you guys are saying?
What?
That when you get older, you compare yourself to other people, so you're not as original anymore. Because you look around you and see that you think that people are, you look at how good they are drawing maybe, and then you're like, I can't ever draw that good.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of determine what makes a good picture and what makes a bad picture.
Right.
Right?
Based on other people's.
Yeah, based on what other people say, exactly. And you lose that creativity. Another thing is younger kids, they're ignorant or they're oblivious many times to the reality or to what people think is the reality. So, and this also ties into they're not afraid to fail. And that's what is going to hinder your creativity a lot of times, is that you're afraid to fail. You're afraid that, well, if I draw this and people may think it's weird, or if I do this, people might think it's weird, and you have a fear of failure, and that can hinder your creativity sometimes.
But failure doesn't have to be final.
Failure, you're right.
Yes, sorry, write it down.
Failure, did you? You guys are good. So, there's a relationship between human creativity and failure. Have you guys ever heard that Thomas Edison quote? It says, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work."
Yeah.
So basically he's saying, yeah, all these things that I tried didn't work, but I didn't fail. I just found ways that it didn't work.
The only way I can truly fail is to give up.
That's right.
Quotes.
So my example would be when I'm doing my engineering problems. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I will spend hours on a homework assignment and not really get anywhere. I won't make any progress. I'm just like, ugh. But what I've learned is that there is a process I have to go through. I'm going to sit there at my desk for hours and hours and not get anything done, but that's part of the process. Failure is part of the process. And so just like us, we're trying to walk with God. What? Did you break your pencil? You're terrible. You're gonna have to find this class, Sunday school, new pencil.
I know.
I'm so mad at you.
So what I want you guys to realize is that don't be scared to fail. In whatever you do, but especially in the things of God. Because we're all trying to get somewhere in God and grow
That's what
in
Christianity
Him.
is. Christ.
Right.
So we don't be scared to fail when you're dealing with the things of God. All right, Landon, you're right, brother.
About paint. The paintbrushes are covered with paint.
Wear gloves.
Oh, there's no
So
gloves. I need your mix. Can I go wash my hands?
this is it right now.
Yeah, it's all over my hand. And then if I touch someone, it'll be like on his clothes.
That's why I wear gloves. Let's just wait until we. We're talking about creativity. Listen, Kaylin, stop. Hey, Kaylin, seriously, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did Landon break his pencil?
Yeah.
So creativity is a process, and we all need to learn that it's okay to fail and it's okay to mess up. So it is through our weaknesses that God receives the glory. If you look at 2 Corinthians 12 and 9, yeah. 2 Corinthians 12.
Let me get my Bible out.
Careful.
Sorry, Bible. 2 Corinthians.
2 Corinthians 12.
I'm trying to hold it out. 2 Corinthians chapter 12,
Yeah, verse 9.
verse 9. What is this?
2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9.
Oh. Where's the chapter 9, verse 12?
Still on the next slide, Isaac.
Got it.
I'll
And
make
he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness.
Okay, that's good. That's good. It says, my strength is made perfect in weakness. Tell me what that means to someone.
Okay, so repeat again.
My strength is made perfect in weakness. And this is God talking.
So it's like he's like strong, like when like you're weak or something.
Exactly, right. So
The
God...
weakest person is the strongest person in heart.
That's right. So God shines through our weaknesses, okay? And He sometimes uses our weaknesses. So don't be scared of your weaknesses, but embrace those and allow God to use you through those. Yes?
Keep reading.
No, that's all we're going to need. Thank you, though. So a fear of failure, like I've said, will stop your creativity. And it often stops it because it stops you from trying to be creative. So, have you ever done something and you thought, man, this is really good, or this is really awesome?
Yeah.
And then you take it to someone and they are not impressed.
Yeah.
Like whenever you're trying to clean the house for your mom, and then she gets home and she's like, "What'd you do?"
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
I'm trying to help.
I turned in my art project without without doing
Doing
like
the
the
art.
step or something like that. She's like, I just threw it away.
So, and it's hard on us whenever we do try and do something that's creative and new and we think it's cool, and then someone just kind of comes and just knocks us down. So that's why it's important as Christians that we don't discourage people from trying new things and from being different and from being who they are. And even jokes about different things. I've experienced in my life where even just a simple joke, I took it to heart. Yes.
Like at camp, there were some kids, and they would always tell their mama jokes, and they're not very nice. They're kind of weird.
They get on my nerves.
Like
Okay.
Colby, as goes on with them.
Okay.
I only
Well,
said
hey,
one.
we're not. Let's move on. But we need to speak positive into people's lives, because I've experienced times in my life where I'm trying to do something and I know I'm not very good yet, but I still think I can. And someone will say, well, hey, you'll never get there. And they may have just been kidding, or they didn't think it was a big deal, but it was a big deal to me, so we need to be careful.
Bring in the painting.
Next round? No, not yet. That's it. I think we're done.
Can we? Oh.
We'll do it at the end of class.
No.
And then you got some on your shirt.
I thought we
That's
did.
it?
No, not paint. Something else.
Oh.
Oh.
I see. Let's break a pencil.
I think we're on round.
Got something on your hands.
We'll bring it in after it's done. Okay, man, it looks like we got some artists. That's awesome. So, the next point is that the greatest lesson to learn is that failure does not have to be final.
Ooh.
Failure does not have to be final. And tell me what that means.
Failure.
Like it's not an
Failure doesn't have to
option.
be what?
That means you have to go down.
Right here.
That means you don't have to give up.
Where's
Don't
my
give
book?
up.
Oh,
Pick up.
sit down.
So just because you fail doesn't mean that that's the end of what you're trying to do. And this is important, and this is what I want you to understand. as it relates to our Christian walk is that as you grow as young Christians, you are going to be put in positions in the church. You're going to have responsibility in the church. And you are going to fail.
It's got I on it.
Failure.
I got it wrong, man.
So, as you go into positions and you do things in the church, you're going to fail and you're going to mess up. But it's important that you don't get discouraged and you don't stop doing God's work just because you failed. But continue to improve and continue to grow. So, a few discussion questions is, why do people fear failure when they are doing something new?
Huh?
Why do people fear failure when they're doing something new?
Because they haven't done it before and they're really scared.
Because they're afraid they'll be laughed at.
Okay.
Bullied for the rest of their
Why
life.
bully them and do that and you get that tested instead?
We're gonna see that.
So, I think it's because they're not confident in themselves. You know, they don't know what the outcome is going to be. They don't know their success.
Before, they don't believe in themselves.
That's right.
No faith.
So, but it's important to know that we are creative and failure does not have to be final. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is how God is creative. So, if you turn to...
I'll read.
Well, just read that first verse again, 26, really quick.
On what?
2 Corinthians.
No, Genesis.
Genesis 1 and 26.
Yeah, Genesis 1 and 26.
Mm.
You don't have to do 27, just 26.
Genesis. Oh, and
Everyone there?
No.
Yep.
And
Alright, what are we done doing?
Genesis what?
1:26.
I'm about to be there in a minute. Got it.
Okay.
1, 2, 6. Got it.
Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth."
So who made the cattle? Who made the birds and the fish? God,
It's
right?
all working in its original.
He did, and that is, God is original, imaginative, and continually working. So this is who God is. Can you just imagine, like, just creating all that He created out of nothing, right? You didn't have any previous ideas or thoughts. It's just creating it out of blackness, out of nothingness. It's incredible what God was able to accomplish. God did not copy anyone. He did not, create what anyone else created. Everything that He did was completely original. God took dust, for example, and He just took this dust and He made man. That's right. And we are so complex, and there's so many things that goes into us, and yet God was able to create us. And He loves beauty, and He loves variety, and He loves different things. Think of the animal kingdom. How many different animals are there that are just weird sometimes? And they look crazy, but a lot of them are also beautiful and different. You have a comment?
I watched this little video. It was like a cartoon. Like it said that God sneezed everything into existence.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I
Not
watched
exactly,
the cartoons.
But so there's this thing called a star-nosed mole.
Oh, I know those.
I actually have a picture of it.
I had a pet one.
This is a star-nosed mole.
That's a, what is that? Is that a fly mouth flea trap or something? A fly.
Yeah.
That's a fly trap.
Fetus fly trap.
It's from.
I looked up because I didn't know what a star-nosed mole was, so I looked up star-nosed mole. I was like, what's a
How
picture
big
of
is
Landon
Landon?
doing on the internet? Dude. I'm just kidding, Landon.
Then there's Isaac.
So,
too, about him, right?
I don't make it.
But the interesting thing is,
Isaac, why are you doing that? What are you doing over
And then he
there?
was like, oh wait, I accidentally typed in Isaac.
Oh.
but
What
the
do you
point,
want it?
alright guys, so this mole here has 24 pink little things coming out of its nose. And they have 25,000 small sensory receptors
Gross.
to allow the mole to feel its way around. So this is a very strange and very bizarre creature. But it's just to show God's diversity, His creativity, and just how much He puts into His creation. Think about it. In the bigger picture of things, this is an insignificant thing, right? It's just a mole.
That's
But God put so much creativity in it, He created, all that is. And there's many other examples. Like there are nearly 400,000 different plant species of which we know. Many are beautiful, some of them are bizarre. And this is the Venus flytrap, which I'm sure many of you have seen before. It basically waits, and it is a plant, but it basically waits until something lands on it, and then it snaps shut, and then enzymes eat whatever landed on it. So another example of God's power and His might and His creativity. And this can illustrate just how big our God is and how beautiful His creation is. So God didn't just create in the beginning, but He creates today, and He continues to create and work in a creative way. So though we may not see Him at work, He is working. In Philippians 2:13, let's turn to Philippians 2:13. You gotta get there first.
Okay.
Philippians 2:13.
Where's that at? Isn't that in like the Old
New
Testament?
Testament.
In the New Testament?
Philippians.
Oh yeah.
A giant eating popcorn.
Come on, where do you learn all this, guys?
I know, I don't remember it. It's giant installation.
Found it. Philippians what? 1 and what?
2 and 13.
For it is God who works in
Hold
you.
on. Patience.
What is it?
Philippians
Right there.
2 and 13.
Page 1349.
I'm trying to get there and you guys are just like, okay, 2 and what?
13. And you can go ahead. You've read quite a few, so we'll let Kayleen get this one.
She already read though.
13 or what?
Just 13.
For it is God who works in you both to will and to good for His good pleasure.
To do His good pleasure.
So, it is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of His good pleasure. So, the next point is that God's ongoing work should convince us that we likewise should be committed to ongoing purpose. So, the point is that God uses His creativity to continually do a work in our life and continue to shape the world we live in. And we should be using our creativity to shape the world we live in. We need to be like Christ and follow His example. So, I want to ask you this. What is the most fascinating part of the Genesis creation
That He
to you
made
guys?
man.
You like that He made man? Okay.
That Adam named all the animals.
That Adam named all the
Like the
animals
elephant.
and the elephant. Okay. What else? What do you guys like about the creation?
What I think is really cool is that God put Adam to sleep and took a rib out of him without him waking up
Yeah.
and created a girl out of it. So
That is
Kid.
Dylan?
And these two boys will keep finding this
Cain and
DNA and they find it in somebody's body.
So you like that we have DNA?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I like it how he just describes in the first chapter he describes how it was all dark and all and then God just
Yeah, it's cool. Okay. So he created all this on earth, but He also created everything in the universe, which is just,
Time.
it's incredible. So, because God created us and we were created in His image, I want to go back to a point that we were created to what? To create.
Yeah.
God creates, and He gave us the ability to create. And God creates out of nothing. And we have been called to create out of what He has given us. And He has given each one of us different things to create. But He's all given each one of us, what do we all share? We share a mind to create for His kingdom.
We also share food.
So if we surrender our lives to God's purpose and fulfill God's plan in our lives and in the world, we do this through our creativity. And talent alone cannot do the job. We must have God working in our life and doing things in our life. Philippians 4:13, we won't go there, but I'll read it real quick. It says, do all things through Christ who strengthens us. So we must partner with God to do His will and His work. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is that God has called us to be creative in all areas of kingdom building, including outreach and evangelism. So we must channel all this creativity that we have. It's important that we don't use that for the world, but we use that for God and for His kingdom. Are you guys listening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes? Kaylin? Okay. So, believers who tap into the creative imprint of God's image in their lives can be inspired by the Spirit to develop new, effective, creative methods of reaching the lost. And this is one example we can use our creativity to impact the kingdom. Like, is the methods we're using to reach people, is it effective? And if it's not effective, how do we make it more effective? How can we create a better system to reach the lost, or improve this, or improve that, or make this better? And don't allow, negative influences or negative voices to stop you from being creative.
Or in that, right?
And my job as a leader is to encourage these ideas that each one of you has. How do we progress from just an idea and make it reality? Or how do I help you guys to be more creative and excel in the areas you're already kind of in? So that's my job as a leader, is to kind of guide you along this path. But you as individuals have to stay focused, and you have to have a goal, and you have to have a purpose. So to go through life without exercising your creative abilities for God is to fall short of reflecting His image into this world, since your creative calling is part of your identity. So if you don't use your creativity for His kingdom, then you're falling short of what He really wants you to do. But we can daily surrender our lives and the purpose He has given us, and surrender who we are as individuals, and that will help us to be creative for His kingdom. So here's my question. How can you change your response to failure so that failure helps you reach new heights of growth instead of stunting your creative ability? So we talked about failure earlier.
Learning from your mistakes.
Learning from your mistakes. What do you mean by that?
When you mess up, just use that as a lesson to help you move forward.
Okay.
Instead of a stumbling block, you can use it as a stepping stone.
Alright. And not let it beat you down, not let it discourage you. Right?
Like if you were doing like a test and got a bunch wrong, you can learn why you got them all wrong.
That's right,
To
yeah.
help
Study.
you better on your next test.
Exactly. That's a good example. So yes.
And that worked for me.
Good.
I got a 99 on my first semester student test.
Okay, good. So yeah, if you see something that's wrong, maybe, I don't know, let me think. Maybe you were asked to speak in youth class. Maybe I asked one of you, Kaylin, maybe I asked you, said, hey Kaylin, can you speak for 10 minutes on this topic, right? And you said, yeah, I think I can do that. And then maybe you got really busy with school that week and you didn't study like you needed to study. So you got up here and you weren't prepared. So you just started sputtering off a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't true. Dylan. Yes. So maybe, and you weren't prepared. And while I may get frustrated, you don't need to get frustrated. You just need to learn from that. Colby, you need to take that and say, okay, I wasn't prepared and I wasn't taught and I didn't know what I was talking about. So next time, what can I do to improve that? And in the end, you should say, well, I need to study and I need to pray before I get up there. So these are the types of things where don't let failure just say, okay, since that happened, I'm never ever going to teach even if Isaac asks me. No, you need to say, if I do teach again, when I teach again, these are the things I need to do to improve.
Like
So-
Alex first time speaking in front of the church.
Yeah, I mean, that's an example too. I didn't do anything perfect. So every time I go up, I try and say, how can I improve on that? And this is a process, right? What's one of the first lessons we had? Discipleship is a process. No one's perfect. No one's going to be perfect anytime soon. But each one of us is trying to grow in all these areas that we're talking about. And tonight we're talking about creativity. So grow in being creative. And don't let these failures backtrack. So as we finish, I want to read a story. It's about Henry Ford. There's a trash can back there, and instead of throwing it and distracting the entire class, I prefer if you clean the trash can. Okay? Thank you. So Henry Ford was a young 23-year-old when his dream of building a vehicle with gas-powered engine finally started to take shape. He'd been imagining it ever since he first heard of the concept of a gas-powered engine. After working at night for the Edison Illumination Company, he worked on his vehicle during the day in a shed behind his house. Oh, the places where creativity happens. Henry's first vehicle was not very popular. It was called the quadricycle. A year later, after many more hours of creative thought work, his second automobile was released. Henry now needed financial backing if his dream creation was actually going to get past its initial stages. People were impatient, difficult, and sometimes downright discouraged. Within 3 years, Henry had 2 companies that had failed. The risk was significant, but Ford held on to his dream. Sometimes the task seemed impossible. Henry Ford refused to believe and accept failure, and in the end, his creation and the company that manufactured the revolutionary Model T automobile was one of the very few that survived the early years of the automobile industry. So this is an example of someone that didn't let discouragement, didn't let failure, didn't let all those things stop them from the goal that they had. And that is really the message for you guys tonight. Don't let discouragement, don't let failure stop you from doing what God wants. Mercedes, how many times have you invited someone to Bible study and they didn't come?
I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Too many.
Too many, right? But she's not going to stop inviting people to Bible study because she understands that while it may have failed, you know, if she can get one person to Bible study, and if she can get one person to Bible study and change their life, then it's all well worth it. And so we all need to have that mentality and say, you know, while I may have failed this, and this time, if I can succeed, then whose life can I change? Whose life can I impact with the creativity that God has given me? So I'm going to go get our painting. So here's our painting that we all did today. And I have to say, it looks really, really good. I am very impressed. So this is an example of how all of us are creative. And if we work together and we combine our creativity, we can make something beautiful, right? And so while we did that on just a piece of paper, if we combine our creativity as a youth group and unite as a youth group, as Abundant Life Youth, then we can create something beautiful in other people's lives through the power of God. And we can really impact people and make a difference. So I think I'm going to hang this up somewhere so we can just remember that each one of us is creative, and don't be afraid to fail. And if we work together and use our creativity, then we can make something beautiful in this community, and we can impact people through the talents and the creativity that God has given us. So let's just go into a short time of prayer together. And here's some of the things I want us to pray about. One, thank God for creating us with creativity. Two, let's be conscious of our personal call to create and how can we use that creativity for His kingdom. Three, let's pray for encouragement when we fail. And four, let's get a hold of the purpose that God has for each one of us. So let's just pray those things together as a group right now. Lord, I thank you for this time that you've given us to be a part of this Bible study and understanding your word. I pray that you just touch us today, God, and I thank you for giving us creativity. I thank you, God, for just giving us the ability to create and to think and to have logic and to have reason. I worship you, God, and I just thank you for that gift. I pray that you would just help me to use the creativity you've given me for your kingdom. God, I don't want to use it for my selfish reasons, but I want to use it for your glory and for your kingdom and create new ways of doing things to make things more effective or to reach more people or whatever it might be, God. I pray that you would encourage me when I fail, when I'm trying to do something with all my heart and it just goes downhill and it's not